Hello and welcome to another wonderful Total War. We are of course on Attila and I am playing as the Suebians. I'm going to move this slightly exactly one to press. I'm going to move this slightly up as my phone goes boom. And as you can see here, I'm against the Franks, I believe. I say as you can see here, you can clearly see some black silhouettes in the foreground and a few red symbols above their heads. I'm going to actually go through my army first, so I'm not really 100% sure really what to talk about with the Franks. I actually know a lot about the Franks compared to a lot of other nations. Straight off, as you can see, I got my Germanic archers. Probably one of my favourite archer units within the game. Over on the right hand side here, I've got some stable Germanic horsemen. Bulk of my well, support to my armies, the Germanic spearmasters here, as you can see, and of course, just to add a fluff for main attack, is the Germanic swordsman. And also, you got behind, I got a couple of spare units. And as a general, I got Germanic nobles. Only pretty for extra footprints on the ground. Looking at it now, well, from this perspective anyway, that's like it would be nice to get an additional cavalry unit period because they do have this extra cavalry around me. But as you can see, I overcome that by supporting my rear with the spearmasters. So kind of balance out a little bit. Not really 100% sure to why this person here sent up his crossbows. I can't remember this now. So also, it's been a short while since the last video. It's one of those times of the year, of course, where it's busy and everyone else is busy, and I know that you're probably busy as well, so I appreciate the time you stand here and watch. As you can see here, a few archer harassment, etc, etc. I'm bringing up my cavalry here now to try and hit into the side. Bit cautious of this, as you can see here, they kind of got their range there, and they're turning their crossbowmen now to face that. Thinking to myself, I don't want to waste my cavalry in exchange for the crossbow units, although what he's doing is really stupid, as you can see, I'm just focus firing down one at a time. What I think here is doing really stupid is wasting his crossbow unit. But I don't want to sacrifice my cavalry to be in here and then get shot down by all of these archers here, or even pursued by some of his cavalry here that's sending around the around my flank. So I was like, okay, fair enough, I'm going to leave that as it is. Not too worried about bringing up the spear units as well. From my, well, what I would assume I could say from my perspective, I'm pretty sure he's just going to bring up these guys just so that I can't charge with my cavalry into the crossbowmen here. So not 100% sure to why he did bring them up. More battle volley down there. As you can see now, just target to fire those two with 4 sets of archers. Units don't tend to last overly long. So I'm going to stop that now. As you can see, I'm just sort of stretching out my sides here, just to make sure that I kind of got that defense up for the cavalry, because their cavalry is starting to mobilize, as you can see. Got the general over here. Kind of good news for me actually, since I've got my cavalry over here. Only because if melee does happen, I tend to be quite on it in terms of support with the spears inside of cavalry fights. If I manage to get that in, that could be their general more or less wiped out straight away. And of course, just bolstering my left flank here and bringing up my swordsmen. Let's be a little bit more compact, so I don't have to worry too much about loose ends if they're surrounding me with cavalry. Thanks to now that army or unit has been completely broken. Not sure why he's got his lancers here actually, because I'm about to say that's going to be in slight range actually of my archers. So the more cavalry I can kill here, probably the better. To be fair, especially with just my archers alone. If it came down to it, I'd be happy to do a good charge out on these, but Germanic bows I think actually are the really cheap one, about 170 if I recall. Very similar statistical wise to that of the Nordic bows if I recall. And as you can see here, I'm sort of bringing up my cavalry, bringing these guys down here just to zone these guys back up a little bit, because they're not going to try and dedicate this down here, especially if I'm bringing my spear unit down to the bottom right here very heavily. So it kind of just forces them to go like, alright, I'm going to go back a little bit. Although he's kind of got the cav spread, he's kind of got a little bit of map dominance, I could still sort of use a little bit of subtle aggression, just be like, okay, he needs to pull back here, sort of thing. So you can see now it's going to be a little slow build up, pushing up through, because I can't really now rush it on. If you watch the videos, I don't rush on anyway, take it steady. I can't push like up my archers like here, smack bang, and just get all that momentum going, because if you wanted to then just do complete charge one of my units sort of moving, it could cause quite heavy havoc on the actual main lines itself. So keeping these little areas bolstered, you can see here I'm starting to move my cavalry out a little bit. Not too sure if this is baiting something to happen. Alright, I had something in mind there, but they started to move their units along a little bit, so like, okay, we'll reorganize this. It's probably quite, pardon me, I don't know why I said pardon me, you couldn't hear me fire, I could have just got away with it. what I was going to say. He's moving them back now, but not actually 100% sure why I have brought them back to defend here. I've had to say it's normally quite a nice little idea to pick your spears up first, not only if they try and catch you out with any form of ranged attack. Oh, they got guys behind me. This is why I never have the mini-map that small. I tried to look at the map, normally it's like this. During the game you can get it. But as now they are clearly doing that, they're trying to force my hand a little bit. To which, to be fair, they have forced my hand rather well, and he's even bringing up some of his spear units as well here on my right hand side, which I have to be cautious of. Oh, it's 20 past, 5 minutes to work. So as you can see, it sort of forces me to sort of move now just a little bit up and down here and along the sides. So it's a little bit like, oh okay, a little bit hesitant there, so hopefully speaking we should be able to get this quite nicely. He does manage to get the charge here, I managed to turn around. My Germanic, of course, they will, in prolonged melee, they will succumb and beat the Lancers relatively easily, but at the same time we've got to be careful of that. Oh, cavalry charging it from the front, no, I forced that back. Got to be careful because of the actual shock of the initializing of the hit. That is the thing you've got to be careful of. As you can see here, he's pulling them back, using them as actual shock cavalry hit, pull back hit again. So I'm like, I can't just prolong in this sort of engagement. Managed to get a few javelins off here that managed to kill a couple. Hopefully they're starting to waver now, so hopefully I managed to break that unit. Okay, oh yeah, I vaguely remember this. I sort of used this to encapsulate around. Alright, cool. I do remember that bit. Man, what time? 20 minutes. Thanks, you know, with this unit sort of out of the way, it's kind of nice. It also brings his other cavalry now along the left hand side. During all of this, I'm just going to put it on double speed. I don't normally, I know I like to talk for it, but I've got 5 minutes, so I've got to get ready for work. Better planning, Graham. That's what I needed. So as you can see, he's starting to conjugate a lot of his cavalry now behind my things, forcing me to bring out some of my Roman units, keeping my now cavalry on a little bit of a defensive mode. I don't want these 3 units here to be able to cause any additional trouble. Looking back at it, what I could do is I could use my cavalry to be very aggressive against their archers and get these lines, well, at least 2 of these units, well, and this unit here, so I can get 3 at least. 3 units to sort of cover this rear. I got my swords units up here, and if I have my cavalry up here to cause harassment, my cavalry now could just completely destroy all of his archers. My bowmen are superior to that of his bows, so it's a little bit nicer in that regard. Oh, there you go, see I'm pulling up some of my cavalry now. The different side of that, I put it back onto normal play mode. So as you can see now, they bring up their archers, trying to get a little bit of a skirmish off. They do believe actually had high ground, so now, well, not enough to really calculate. So as you can see now, they kind of got that all pushed up a little bit. Don't have to worry about the cavalry here. Not really too worried about the cavalry. Well, I was about to say that. Not really too worried about the cavalry here as I pull away. But on the bright side, that's going to force their guys slightly out of motion. Not going to dedicate that to too much. Pulling back my archers now here, they're barely out on ammo, so what my cavalry can do here hopefully is enough to sort of at least disengage their archers from any additional trouble that they may cause. Now their cavalry is also bringing up here on the rear hand side, which I've got to be careful of. Bring out my cavalry now to sort of combat this. As you can see, I've got my spear units here. Again, I think it's wise I don't need these 2 spear units here. Like, these 2 can dedicate help to force that out, these 2 can bring that back, and those guys are mainly melee infantry, and of course I've got my melee infantry here. So it's not really overly too worried about that. Normally try and cut off the units here, but I didn't do that this time. Notice that they do actually have some missile units there. If I can manage to get the engagement off before I'd hit the Lancers before they manage to get any charge, I mean that kind of neutralizes their whole purpose from getting caught out like that. There we go, so I caught them out like that now. So now hopefully, fingers crossed, that we get this relatively easily. Bringing more cavalry down, as you can see here, also bringing up my Spearmen, they're bringing down their cavalry, and I don't want to get them all clustered into a little area, so I'm going to keep, I said I'm keeping this small spread, that's a terrible spread. What I should have done is kept that one here, kept that one close by to support up. I'll put this one a little bit more over on this right hand side here. Some of the archers are starting to waver and all now as well, because they kind of carried on that little skirmish fight, but I'm completely dry out on ammo, so something that I've got to be cautious of. As you can see here now, they're just going to pull up this cavalry here. Managed to get my other cavalry to engage the lancers that I held up earlier, so that unit now is another one that's going to be broken down, and they're starting to rout, and then soon it'll be completely broken, which is very nice. I say that, but they're bringing in reinforcements. Noticing that they're bringing reinforcements, as you can see here, I'm starting to remove my spearmen out a bit. There you go, now I've got a bit of a nice spread out on. I kind of got this unit here to kind of be a bit of a dominant force, like you're not coming down here, like this is my bit of land. Again, what I probably could have done is use this spear unit here to come along here and then use that and go there, so I would have had the same amount of spread, but I would have had more units dedicated to it, so I can section it off easier and spread it out. Kind of gave me a little bit more flex. As you can see here, I kind of moved this unit down here to try and cut off this cavalry unit. Kind of worked well, but at the same time I left a big gap. And at the same time now I can use these spearmen, which I mentioned previously. This probably wouldn't have happened if I used my spearmen earlier before. But be careful now because he's about to hit my guys right in the back. And then see now, his core of his melee is starting to walk and open up onto this. Gonna get my spearman now to hit into the back of this. Got this spearman here to hold off way to pressure basically the general. Down here, however, the big cavalry fight which I mentioned earlier. Got my spearmasters into the fight as well to try and reinforce my my cavalry in the fight. They kind of got surrounded quite a bit. As you can see, they've got strong melee fighting the lancers as well. My cavalry found that very tough to actually fight. Hence why it's always wise. Well, I always find it wise to bring some actual spear units in to support this battle, because as you can see my cavalry managed to not break up in the end, which is nice. Caused a little mass right there and they managed to break out. Turning his general down quite rapidly, which is quite foolish. Caught this cavalry out here with my spearmen. Everything has just gone absolutely fucking oh man, language. Absolutely crazy. Been on slow motion, as you can see. I've kind of reinforced now, going to get strong melee up. I'll put it on normal mode actually, because I really should be getting for work. I'll discuss this more in greater detail at some point. Got to be careful, as you can see. They're hitting some archers. Not really too much of a big issue now. They've used all their arrows there at their expense. I might also use some manpower now to see if I can potentially kill the general, or at least hold them up long enough, as you can see, to get these couple units here into the fight. No point bringing my spear units all the way down here to try and get into this fight. Got this one here to help support. Might as well get them into the core of the melee. Got my actual Germanic swordsmen. They're not nobles. Into the actual sword fighter. It's quite hard when you're fighting the Franks and you're playing as the Suebians, because at the same time it's quite hard to differentiate who the hell is who. You know, the guys with the purple capes I think are my guys. No? Alright, I'm just going to pull back so you can see the biggest picture. Their general, as you can see, is completely surrounded. Granted that on this flank is only archers, so it's not going to be much resistance to keep them in there in the bound. Got to be careful as well with all those little extra bits and bobs. Going to hit it on fast forward, purely because I have work, so I apologise in advance. I should have done this video a little bit sooner, but instead I decided to watch Game on Data. No one to blame but myself. As you can see here as well, the cavalry started to come into me with a little wedge formation. Not really too sure where they are targeted. They seem to be deterring a little bit now, probably because I'm sending out my spearmen quite a bit. Almost encapsulated and took out the general as well. They have lost over 50% of their units, and we're into 60% now. And again, reinforcements for spearmen, caught them up with my there you go. Now hopefully things see a little bit of wavering start to happen here. This cavalry unit here is starting to waver, despite getting a nice charge upon my rear. That was nice, no bad thing about that. I'm going to plug that gap up with a whole load of spearmen. Over here, of course, don't have to really worry too much about finding their archers with spearmen. My spearmen is going to mop this up relatively easily. Down here, as you can see, is actually this has gone the other way. My spearmen is actually getting pretty destroyed by the Frankish royal, and I'm not going to pronounce that. So I'm going to go back and do the wonderful fight over here, and you can see I'm starting to break the right hand side a little bit. For sheer weight of numbers and complete bulk now, I'm going to start pushing and doing this relatively easily. I put it on double time again because the same issue. I actually am now running 3 minutes late. But hey ho, which means I get to keep stuff with me. And then you can see now, just going to get the final charge in, hit into their rears. Completely outnumbered this section. This section here is completely surrounded now as well, so that is wonderful. I hope you have enjoyed. Again, I like how I'm about to wrap up yet. The fight is still raging on quite a bit. But I'm going to wrap it up now. I've been Carpus. I hope you enjoyed. I'll leave it like this, and I'll see you next time.